In the heart of Agbele, a bustling village known for its rich traditions and skilled artisans, there was one woman whose name was spoken with both admiration and mystery, Madame Fola. She was not just a tailor, she was a miracle worker with needle and thread. Her shop, Ile Aso Arewa, House of Beautiful Cloth, stood at the edge of the market, always filled with eager customers. Brides, chiefs, wealthy traders, and even visitors from distant lands came to her for one thing: perfection. What set Madame Fola apart was not just her unmatched speed, but the uniqueness of her designs. No one, not even the best tailors in neighboring villages, could replicate her work. A dress that would take others weeks or even months, she completed in 1 hour. It was unheard of. It was unbelievable. And yet it was true. People would enter her shop, she would take their measurements, and before they could finish their rounds in the market, their outfits, rare, elegant, and fitted like second skin, were ready. But there was one rule, a rule as unbreakable as the laws of the gods. You must never try on your clothes in my shop. No one questioned it. Why would they? Every piece fit flawlessly. People accepted it as part of the price they paid for Madame Fola's gift. The village gossips, however, whispered among themselves. Some said she had been blessed by Orunmila, the deity of wisdom. Others swore she had made a pact with the spirits of the river. The jealous tailors of Agbele, who had lost most of their customers to her, watched with envy but dared not speak against her. But one day, curiosity proved stronger than fear. It was a bright market day, and 3 young women, Amaka, Kemi, and Ife, walked into Madame Fola's shop. Amaka, the daughter of a wealthy cocoa trader, was there to pick up her dress for her cousin's wedding. She had told her friends about Madame Fola's legendary speed, but they found it hard to believe. "Are you saying she makes these clothes in just 1 hour?" Kemi asked, her eyebrows raised in disbelief. Amaka nodded. "Yes, and when you see them, you will understand." As they entered the shop, their jaws dropped. The walls were lined with breathtaking garments, royal asooki, delicately embroidered iro and buba, flowing agbada, and modern dresses adorned with beadwork that shimmered in the dim light. The scent of freshly starched fabric filled the air. Kemi, unable to contain her excitement, whispered, "I need one for my sister's wedding. Let her measure me." Madame Fola, who had been attending to a customer, turned to them with a smile. She was an older woman with skin the color of roasted ground nuts, sharp eyes that missed nothing, and hands that moved like the wind. "Welcome, my daughters," she greeted warmly. "What can I do for you?" "I am here to pick up my dress," Amaka said eagerly. Madame Fola nodded and disappeared into the back room. She returned moments later, holding a beautifully wrapped silk package. As she handed it over, she looked Amaka in the eye and said firmly, "Remember the rule. No trying it on here." Amaka nodded without hesitation. She had no reason to question the rule. But Ife, standing in the corner, stared at a particular dress hanging on a mannequin. A deep green gown, adorned with intricate beadwork and woven patterns she had never seen before. "I love this dress," she murmured to herself. "I think it will fit me perfectly." She turned to one of the other customers and asked, "Why can't we try on clothes here?" The woman, eyes wide, shook her head. "Don't even think about it. We all know the rule." Ife scoffed. "But why? It's just a dress. What is the worst that could happen?" Ignoring the warnings, she waited until Madame Fola was distracted measuring Kemi. Then she quietly slipped into a corner between 2 mannequins and quickly pulled the dress over her head. The moment the fabric touched her skin, a chill ran down her spine. The room suddenly felt wrong, the air heavy, thick, almost suffocating. Then, the first sign. Madame Fola gasped and clutched her hands. A sharp pain shot through her fingers, and for the first time in years, she dropped her measuring tape. Her breathing became ragged, her eyes darting around as if sensing something unseen. Then she turned, her gaze locked onto Ife. And when she saw what the girl had done, Her scream filled the entire shop. "No! What have you done?" The room shook as she rushed toward Ife, her hands trembling so violently that she could barely tear the dress off the girl's body. Customers scattered, knocking over fabric and mannequins in their panic. Madame Fola's voice was no longer the gentle, wise tone they knew. It was raw, filled with terror. "You have finished me," she cried, her knees buckling. "You have ruined everything. Get out, all of you!" She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing, her hands convulsing. The girls, now frightened, grabbed their things and ran. The next day, word spread like wildfire. Something was wrong with Madame Fola. Her hands, once steady and sure, shook uncontrollably. Her stitches came undone. Seams that had always been perfect began to fall apart. What once took her an hour now took days, and still the clothes were not right. Then came the swelling. Her fingers grew dark and bloated, the skin cracking, bleeding. Maggots crawled from the open sores. The smell of decay filled her shop. Customers stopped coming. The long lines outside her door vanished. The spirit had come for its payment. Guilt-ridden, Amaka decided to visit Madame Fola. When she entered the shop, it was empty, the walls bare. In the back room, she found the once proud woman sitting in the dark, her hands wrapped in bloodied cloth. "Madame Fola," Amaka whispered, her heart aching. The old woman looked up, eyes filled with sorrow. The spirit has taken back its gift. Amaka, refusing to let her suffer, took her to the village Babalawo, herbalist. But even he could not break the curse alone. They sought pastors who prayed and anointed her hands. Days turned into weeks. Then slowly the swelling receded. The sores healed. The pain faded. Madame Fola had been given a second chance, but with a price. She could still sew, but the magic was gone. It now took her days to complete a dress. Yet, with Amaka's help, the shop reopened. The villagers, seeing her perseverance, returned. The shop was reborn, not as the home of magic, but as the home of skill, patience, and redemption. And though the old rule was no more, no one ever dared break it again,